Ace Frehley walked off the stage, guitar still in his hands, while 15,000 people watched. He walked toward one person. The man had terminal cancer. Ace said nothing. He just handed him the guitar. How did it come to this? The venue was the Capitol Center in Landover, Maryland. October 1978. Kiss was 3 songs into their set. The stage was massive, pyrotechnics, elevated platforms, smoke machines, the full spectacle that had made them the biggest rock band in America. Ace Frehley stood stage right in his Silver Space Ace costume, playing the opening riff to Shock Me, with his white Gibson Les Paul. The crowd was screaming. The lights were blinding. Everything was exactly as it should be. Except Ace wasn't looking at the crowd. He was looking at one man in the front row. The man was thin. Too thin. He sat rather than stood, which was unusual for a Kiss concert front row. His friends on either side were standing, screaming, fists in the air. But he sat. His hands gripped the barrier rail. His eyes were closed. His mouth moved silently, mouthing every word. Ace noticed him during the second song. Something about the way he sat. The way he held himself. The way his friends kept glancing at him with concern. During Shock Me, Ace moved to the edge of the stage during his solo section. He looked down. The man's eyes opened. They locked with Ace's for exactly 3 seconds. And Ace understood. He'd seen that look before. In his uncle's eyes 2 years ago, during his final weeks. The look of someone who knows their time is measured in days, not years. The look of someone making every moment count because moments are all they have left. Ace didn't defend himself. He never did. The song ended. The crowd roared. Gene Simmons was at center stage, preparing for his fire-breathing routine. Paul Stanley was on the opposite side, interacting with fans. The production moved forward like a machine. Every second choreographed, every transition rehearsed. Ace stood at his position. He looked at his guitar. Then at the man in the front row. Then at his guitar again. He made a decision. Ace walked to the drum riser where Peter Criss sat. He leaned in close, said something brief. Peter's eyebrows raised. He nodded once. Ace walked to Gene. Whispered something. Gene stopped mid-preparation, looked at Ace with confusion, then at the front row. His expression changed. He nodded. Ace walked to Paul. Same conversation. Paul looked where Ace indicated, saw what Ace had seen, and without question, nodded. The band understood. The show would stop. Not for equipment failure. Not for an emergency. For a reason none of them would explain until years later. Ace walked back to center stage. He held up one hand to the crowd, the universal gesture for wait. The screaming continued for a moment, then began to fade as people realized something was happening that wasn't part of the show. Ace unplugged his guitar from his effects chain. No reverb. No delay. No distortion. Just wood and strings and hands. He sat down on the edge of the stage, legs hanging over, boots dangling 3 feet above the security pit. He played. Not a Kiss song. Not anything the crowd would recognize. Just a slow, clean melody. Simple chord progressions. The kind of playing that doesn't show off technical skill but shows something deeper. Understanding, feeling, the reason anyone picks up a guitar in the first place. The arena went silent. 15,000 people watching one man play one guitar with no effects, no amplification beyond what was necessary to fill the space. The man in the front row was crying. His friends stood on either side of him, hands on his shoulders. Other fans nearby had stopped trying to figure out what was happening and were simply watching. Ace played for 90 seconds. When he finished, he stood up. Still holding his guitar. He looked at his guitar tech in the wings and made a gesture, a slight nod toward the front row. The guitar tech looked confused. Ace made the gesture again, more firmly. The tech understood. He grabbed a wireless pack and cable, ran them to Ace. Ace clipped the wireless to his belt, plugged in the guitar. now untethered from his pedal board and amps. Subscribe and leave a comment, because some moments only make sense when we remember them together. Ace walked down the steps at the side of the stage. The security guards at the barrier looked at each other, unsure what to do. One started to move toward Ace. Security protocol was clear. Performers stayed on stage. Gene Simmons appeared at the edge of the stage behind them. He didn't say anything. Just shook his head once. The guards stepped back. Ace walked along the security barrier to where the man sat. He stopped directly in front of him. The man looked up, tears streaming down his face, unable to speak. Ace crouched down to eye level. The arena was still silent. Cameras caught none of this. It was 1978, before everyone had phones, before every moment was documented. Only the people in the immediate area could see clearly. Ace held out the guitar. His white Les Paul. The guitar he'd played on every Kiss album. The guitar in 1,000 photographs. Worth more money than most people in that arena made in a year, but worth infinitely more for what it represented. The man shook his head. "I can't," he managed to say, his voice barely audible even in the silence. Ace pushed the guitar closer. Still no words. Just the offering. The man's friends were crying now too. One of them leaned down and whispered something to him. The man looked at the guitar, then at Ace's face, searching for permission that had already been given. He reached out with shaking hands and took the guitar. The weight of it surprised him. Guitars are heavier than they look. He held it awkwardly at first, not sure how to position it. Ace's hands guided his, showing him where to grip the neck, how to hold the body. Then Ace stood up and stepped back. Giving space. Giving the moment. The man held Ace Frehley's guitar. He looked down at it, at the scuffs and scratches from years of concerts, at his own reflection in the white paint. He touched the strings. They rang out through the wireless pack and through the arena sound system, 6 strings vibrating in accidental harmony. The arena erupted. Not a roar. Something different. A sound that came from thousands of people simultaneously realizing they were witnessing something that transcended a rock concert. Ace watched for exactly 10 seconds. Then he held up his hand, one finger. Wait. He climbed back up the stage steps. Walked to the wings. His guitar tech was standing there holding Ace's backup guitar, an identical Les Paul. Ace took it, plugged into his rig, and walked back to center stage. He looked at Gene, at Paul, at Peter. He counted off on his bass drum. And they started. Rock and roll all night. The man in the front row held Ace's guitar for the entire song. His friends sang beside him. Other fans around them made space, protecting this small bubble where something sacred was happening. When the song ended, Ace walked back to the edge of the stage. He crouched down again. The man tried to hand the guitar back. Ace shook his head. He pointed at the man, then at the guitar. Keep it. The man's face crumpled. I can't keep this. This is worth. Ace leaned in close. The microphones didn't catch what he said. Only the man and his friends heard it. Whatever Ace said, it was brief. Maybe 4 words. Maybe 5. The man nodded, clutching the guitar to his chest. Ace stood up, returned to the stage, and Kiss finished their set. Away from the spotlight, Ace made a choice no one expected. What happened after the concert would not be widely known for 30 years. The man's name was David Morrison. He was 47 years old. He had been a Kiss fan since their first album in 1974. He never missed a concert when they came to the DC area. He'd brought his son to their first show 2 years earlier. 6 months before that October concert, David had been diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. The prognosis was clear, months, not years. He'd started chemotherapy, knowing it would buy time but not save him. When Kiss announced the October show, David's friends insisted he had to go. One last concert. They'd pooled money to buy front row tickets. They'd driven him to the venue, helped him walk from the parking lot, made sure he had a seat while they stood around him. David had told them that morning, before they left for the concert, that this would probably be his last show. Not just Kiss. Any show. He was getting weaker. The chemo was destroying what the cancer hadn't. "I just want to see Ace play one more time," he'd said. "That's all I need." After the concert, David went home carrying the guitar in its case. He was exhausted. The concert had taken every ounce of energy he had. But he was smiling. He died 3 weeks later. Before he died, he told his son where he wanted the guitar to go. "I want you to take it back to Ace," David had said. "Tell him thank you. Tell him it gave me 3 weeks of happiness. Tell him that every time I looked at it, I remembered that someone I never met saw me when everyone else was looking at the stage." David's son, Michael, was 19 years old. After his father died, he tried to find a way to return the guitar. He wrote letters to Kiss's management. He called the record company. He went to the next Kiss concert in DC with the guitar in its case, hoping to give it to someone who could get it to Ace. It took 3 months, but eventually one of the letters reached Ace's personal manager. What followed silenced everyone in the room. Ace was in Los Angeles, taking a break between legs of the tour. His manager gave him Michael's letter and explained about David's death. Ace read the letter once. Then again. He set it down on his coffee table and sat silently for several minutes. "Where's the kid now?" Ace asked. "Still in Maryland. He wants to return the guitar. Call him. Tell him to keep it. Ace, he specifically wants to give it back. He says his father wanted you to have it." Ace shook his head. "His father wanted him to have it. That's why he held on to it for 3 weeks instead of giving it back the next day. Call the kid. Tell him I'm honored he wants to return it, but guitars are meant to be played. Tell him to learn to play it. Tell him to teach his kids to play it. Tell him that's what his father would have wanted." His manager made the call. Michael Morrison said he didn't know how to play guitar. "Then learn," Ace said when his manager relayed this. "Find a teacher. I'll pay for the lessons. That guitar's job is to make music. Doesn't matter who plays it." Michael Morrison took lessons for 6 months. He never became a great guitarist. But he learned enough to play Rock and Roll All Night, and Shock Me, and the handful of songs his father had loved. Years later, Michael's daughter asked to learn guitar. He taught her on the white Les Paul. She became much better than he ever was. She played in bands through high school and college. When she graduated from college, she wrote a letter to Ace Frehley. She thanked him for giving her grandfather a guitar that had become their family's most treasured possession. She told him about learning to play on it, about her father telling her the story every time she picked it up. She included a photo. Her, holding the white Les Paul, standing in front of a poster of Kiss from 1978. Ace kept that photo in his guitar case for years. He never framed it. Never put it on a wall. Just kept it tucked in the pocket of his case, where only he would see it. When interviewers asked him about memorable concert moments, he never told the story about David Morrison. That wasn't his story to tell. It was David's. And Michael's. And Michael's daughter's. But people who were at that October concert in 1978 never forgot it. They told their friends. Their kids. Years later, on internet forums, someone would post asking if anyone remembered the night Ace stopped the show and gave his guitar to a fan in the front row, and dozens of replies would confirm, "Yes, we were there, we saw it, we'll never forget it." The guitar is still in the Morrison family. Michael's daughter still has it. She doesn't play concerts anymore, but she teaches guitar to kids in her neighborhood. Every student who walks through her door gets to hold it once. "This guitar belonged to Ace Frehley," she tells them. "He gave it to my grandfather when my grandfather was dying. My grandfather gave it to my father. My father gave it to me. And someday I'll give it to my daughter." Then she says the thing Ace said to her grandfather that night in 1978. The 4 words only David Morrison and his friends heard. The words Michael Morrison learned from his father. The words passed down like the guitar itself. It's meant to be played. Share and subscribe. Some stories deserve to be remembered. Ace Frehley never asked for the guitar back. Never mentioned it in interviews. Never used it for publicity. Because that's not why he gave it away. He gave it away because a man was dying, and music was all that man wanted, and Ace had music to give. Real power doesn't announce itself. It just plays.